Thank you for joining us on Data Cloud Now, where we bring you the latest in all things data in business and industry. Today, we are exploring Snowflake's impact on the startup community. Let's now join our DCN correspondent, Gautam Srinivasan, in Delhi, India. Enjoy.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm Gautam Srinivasan, and welcome to Data Cloud Now. My co-pilot for this conversation is Ben Gotfredson, head of the startup programs at Snowflake. Ben, thanks for coming on board, and looking forward to hearing more about how Snowflake is kind of empowering the startup ecosystem.
Absolute pleasure.
Fantastic. Now, speaking of the ecosystem, whether it's Silicon Valley or Bangalore or across the board, when you look at India, we have got 107 unicorns have come about $1 billion valuation. Fantastic, but they're all growing exponentially, and with growth comes scale issues, right? And much more. There's technical debt and other issues for a lot of these startups. So take us more through, how these can be solved with Snowflake.
There's a lot of ways to answer that question, but I think if I look at the startups that have made the biggest impact on Snowflake and have really hit hyperscale with Snowflake, it's ease of mind that they get enabled through Snowflake. So we've watched many startups go from 5 people to 1,000 people to 2,500. And if they start on Snowflake, they don't have to think twice about what's running under the hood. And so they can focus on more important business outcomes. And the best situations are when the startups won't pick up our calls. They're so focused on what they're doing, Snowflake just works, and then they can focus on growing their business. That's how it should be, and that's what we like to enable.
Fantastic. So how has that conversation enabled, both from, say, the startups and the VCs in terms of kind of driving value from data? How has that conversation shaped up over the past few years now?
The way I like to answer that question is through Snowflake's own experience as a hyperscaling startup, right? Early days, I joined in 2015, so we were 70 people. How we used data back then was a differentiator for us. We were maniacal in looking really closely at our customers' data, how they were consuming Snowflake, right? So was it ahead of schedule? Was it behind schedule? Were there any potential issues? We used that data as our competitive differentiator, and our customers were getting a great customer experience because we had so much data powered by Snowflake on how they're going as an experience through a customer base. So we want to see startups replicate that, use data as a differentiator to make sure their customers have a better customer experience.
All right. Well, we are at the Snowflake Data Cloud World Tour. You've been navigating many conversations. Take us through the high points of, meeting all these startups and folks from the ecosystem.
The community here in India is incredible. The ideas that I've heard pitched are fantastic. I'm really excited. I feel like I should be looking at apartments because I don't think this is the last time I'm going to be visiting here. And ultimately, my takeaway from this visit is just, this is going to be a future landscape for Snowflake and as the overall startup industry, because there's so many good ideas that are just getting launched that are sub 50 employees that are just getting started.
Fantastic. So that's 2 thumbs up, way up from you.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what's next? What's next on the agenda for you? And when we look at the startup ecosystem, what's on Snowflake's radar?
I'm excited about our future in the app economy. So startups that are building their entire product on Snowflake or a portion of their product. The reason why I'm excited about that is because they can build these applications, they can scale them, they can drive a ton of revenue through it, and they don't have to deploy their limited capital to do it. They really can get started for next to nothing and have natural customer acquisition, customer adoption, and grow to a massive size. And we're seeing that across the globe, really. Startups that are starting incredibly small, with limited capital, building apps on Snowflake, and selling into the Fortune 500, Fortune 1000. So that gets me out of bed, that gets me excited, and I'm excited on behalf of these startups that are driving a ton of revenue as a result.
All right, before we let you go, the secrets of making a startup successful. I know it's a question which has its own dimensions. We could spend an hour talking about it, but if you could compress it to some key headlines on the secrets of a successful startup.
I thought about this question for a while, and if I had a perfect answer, I'd probably be in a different seat.
When should a guest press?
I think it's a process of converting technical outcomes to business impact. So if you're running a startup, you're inclined to focus on how your product makes things 5% faster, 5% quicker, or it saves them, $1,000. You really should be focused on the ultimate business impact that your product enables. And you want to get it to the point where you could explain to, say, a CFO, why your product is valuable for the business and it doesn't have to mention a single thing about the technical outcomes it drives. So really focus on the business value that your product is driving for these businesses. That's how you're ultimately going to grow and grow your revenue.
All right, words from the wise. Thank you so much, Ben. Great speaking with you and understanding how Snowflake is kind of empowering this startup ecosystem. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
Absolutely. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. Lots more coming up here on the Data Cloud World Tour. Stay with us.